The Museum of Failure houses some of the world's greatest flops. Visitors can see attractions such as Crystal Pepsi, Carrot Cake Oreos, and of course, the Don Lemon exhibit. So where the hell is Don? And is he as good as gone? Another CNN gas bag is potentially biting the dust. CNN's arrogant a-hole, Don Lemon, wasn't at work today. This after coming under fire for saying presidential candidate Nikki Haley is past her prime because she's 51 years old. Yeah, me too. Hashtag. Although asking Don when a woman is in her prime is like asking a vegan how he likes his filet mignon.
What happens when a self-assured former CNN anchor crosses paths with the sharpest, wittiest commentator on late-night TV? You get a takedown so savage, it could send marshmallows into a class-action lawsuit. Greg Gutfeld didn't just take Don Lemon down, he transformed him into a living, breathing warning for anyone still clinging to the illusion of relevance, armed only with a teleprompter and temper tantrums. Strap in, because this roast is louder than Don's oversized ego and sharper than his sudden disappearance from primetime TV. Get ready for an unforgettable ride laugh, cringe, and replay. The misogyny. It's part of the show.
They like the misogyny. They like all of it, because if they didn't, they wouldn't support it. Yeah, Democratic cities are in chaos right now. Is this what you want from Joe Biden? And they're going to take your country away, and they're taking down the statues. And
crime is rising as they defund police.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. And they're defunding police. And it's like,
Biden just did a presser on the crime wave, buddy. If you brought this guy within a mile of a lie detector, it would explode. I haven't seen that many bad opinions since the initial reviews of this hit show. Whatever happened to those people? So why is he so defensive about expressing opinion?
Ah, Don Lemon. The man, the legend, the accidental comedian. If mediocrity were to hire a PR firm, Don Lemon would undoubtedly be the face of the campaign, proudly holding a teleprompter and an ego so inflated, it might require its own postal code. Watching him try to be a journalist is like watching a novice butcher, Shakespeare confusing, pointless, and somehow offensive to the craft itself.
Don Lemon rolls his eyes watching Melania agonize. Our video of the day comes to us from the destitute douchebag known as Don Lemon, who mocked a recent post from former First Lady Melania Trump demanding answers to her husband's assassination attempt. Here's her original video.
And we need to uncover the truth.
Does he always look at women that way? Obviously not much empathy shown from Don Lemon, which makes sense for him because if anyone around him ever gets shot in the head, I guarantee you it's self-inflicted.
And then, in walked Greg Gutfeld, strutting into the scene like a cat that just toppled over a tower of champagne glasses and dared you to clean it up. In a world drowning in scripted, safe banter, Gutfeld appeared wielding sarcasm like a chainsaw. Meanwhile, Lemon didn't even bother to bring a spoon to the knife fight. This wasn't just an unfair match. It was like watching a demolition derby between a monster truck and a Prius with unresolved emotional issues.
You're a funny opinion. That Don Lemon doesn't do opinion.
I don't do opinion. And I know that the difference for me is I do point of view. So I'm giving my point of view as an American, as a black man who happens to be gay. But I'm through that lens. But I also represent CNN. And so I must tell the truth. And if I don't, if my facts are wrong, then I have to clarify it, and I have to come on television, and I have to apologize, and I say, I got that wrong.
That has never happened. So he's telling you what he bases his opinions off of. At the same time, he tells you he doesn't give opinions, just point of view. Look up what point of view means. It means opinion.
Don Lemon, bless his delusions, believed he could glide by forever, riding the fumes of self-importance and that so serious anchor voice. But eventually, people started noticing the car wasn't actually in motion. His attempts at delivering news had the emotional depth of a malfunctioning GPS and the intellectual weight of a fortune cookie that's seen better days. He confused tone with substance and volume with credibility, convinced that dramatically blinking while spitting out buzzwords somehow made him profound.
As part of his return, Lemon will reportedly be forced to undergo sensitivity training. Oh, and then he'll have to wear a cone for a couple of weeks after they remove his testicles. God, I want to see that. I mean, his training. But CNN is reportedly already testing a less offensive new show to replace him. I believe we have a...
Enter Greg Gutfeld, a man who turns mockery into an art form with the precision of a seasoned operative and the delight of a kid with a magnifying glass over an ant farm. Watching him roast Don Lemon is like seeing a flamethrower take out a marshmallow. Peep, it's not just destruction. It's a deliciously messy spectacle. Lemon, eternally stuck in the enchanted forest of his inflated ego, genuinely believed that the air around him was too rarefied for anyone less special to breathe. Every conversation he entered felt like an audition for the role of world's smuggest person. Little did he know, Gutfeld was backstage, building a catapult made of sharp wit, solid facts, and caffeine. Just waiting to send his delusion into the stratosphere right alongside MySpace and Blockbuster. Let's pause and appreciate the flawless mechanics of that takedown. Gutfeld didn't confront Lemon head.
It seems like a central part of his identity, his emotional assessment of stuff. Why can't he say, "Hi, I'm Don Lemon, and I have more opinions than a meth-addled cab driver"? Instead, we have to laugh at his nightly denials. After me, he's the funniest late-night show host on TV. Perhaps it's a defensive response to our accurate criticism of CNN. And we're only trying to help them. Strong CNN makes for a stronger Fox News. Competition builds character. It's why my debate coach would make me wrestle him for pencils. They were always in his front pocket.
That would have been too easy and, frankly, too kind. Instead, he came in from the side, like a raccoon with a law degree and a vendetta, skillfully poking holes in Lemon's self-importance with the finesse of a guy who's had just enough coffee to turn passive-aggressive commentary into an Olympic event, while Lemon stood there, delivering his solo performance titled Ode to My Own Moral Superiority. Gutfeld merely cracked his knuckles and cranked up the volume on common sense. The visuals, nothing short of cinematic brilliance. Gutfeld has the quick-witted intensity of someone about to either win a major award or chew through drywall, while Lemon exudes the charm of an unused office printer. If energy drinks had personalities, Gutfeld would be a can of pure chaos with a doctorate, and Lemon would be a lukewarm cup of herbal tea with persistent Wi-Fi issues. Lemon's facial expressions, somewhere between vague concern and accidental constipation, could never quite match the dramatic flair of his monologue.
Lemon and his co-host were chatting about Nikki's suggestion that politicians over the age of 75 should take mandatory competency tests, which would be a great idea for CNN hosts as well. Then, this happened.
Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
Prime for what? I think we need to qualify. Are you talking about prime for like child rearing, or are you talking about prime for being president?
The facts are, Google it.
I like that he says sorry right after it because he knows I'm...
Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld sat there, wearing a smirk that said he already knew the ending to this particular saga. And spoiler alert, the conclusion, Don Lemon flat on his metaphorical face. Lemon's real downfall wasn't Gutfeld's verbal blows, it was Lemon himself. The man swaggered around with the self-awareness of a Roomba in a mirror shop, bumping into reality over and over, but insisting the room must be broken. He spoke as if each word came from the top of Mount Olympus, only to realize his soapbox was built out of expired vegan cookbooks. Gutfeld didn't need to exert much effort. He simply gave Lemon a slight nudge and watched as the tower of buzzwords, hashtags, and outrage crumbled like a badly assembled IKEA bookshelf. The beauty of it all. Lemon truly believed he was winning. Every time he threw out a smug comment, he'd smile like a cat bringing you a dead mouse. Meanwhile, Gutfeld leaned back, letting his eyebrows do the work, waiting for Lemon to hand him the next punchline on a silver platter of self-inflicted humiliation. Watching Lemon flounder was like watching a mime throw a tantrum, loud in spirit, but entirely futile.
Between what I'm doing and what someone, as you mentioned, over at Fox News is doing, I'm operating from a place of truth. It's all based in fact, and it's all based on the evidence that's out there.
Yeah, the keyword's out there. It's a dodge. He can lie because the lie comes from the truth that's out there. And it's that defense that has allowed CNN to push destructive bile about law enforcement, about the decimation of our cities due to the left-wing policies CNN parades in progress. But imagine if CNN hadn't embraced the police's racist theme and had looked up the data. If I could do it, so could Lemon, but he didn't, because if he did, Zucker would can him quicker than cling to.
Now, let's talk about what Lemon says. He's all about the truth, right? But his truth comes wrapped in the same elusive package every time. It's all based on facts. The evidence is out there, he claims. Yeah, out there. What? A convenient dodge. He spins these lies, twisting them into half-truths, all while accusing others of fabricating reality. This defense allowed CNN to parrot misinformation about law enforcement, about the destruction of our cities due to left-wing policies disguised as progress. But what if CNN had actually bothered to check the data? What if Lemon had? He didn't, because if he did, Zucker would have canned him faster than you can say cling peaches. Gutfeld didn't tear Lemon down with effort, he did it with sheer presence. Lemon's entire performance style is like trying to light a wet match in a hurricane of logic. And by the time the match fizzled out, Gutfeld was already roasting marshmallows over the smoldering ashes. There was that one moment when Lemon tried to appear like the adult in the room, but ended up looking more like a substitute teacher trying to gain respect. Meanwhile, Gutfeld was at the back, drawing mustaches on Lemon's moral authority with a verbal Sharpie. Lemon puffed up, tried to command respect, and Gutfeld just stared at him like he was a broken Alexa. Then came the inevitable meltdown, because what's a Lemon segment without one? His tantrums are a thing of art-furrowed brows, overly concerned tone, and absolutely no substance. Meanwhile, Gutfeld calmly poked holes in Lemon's sanctimony, like a balloon deflating in slow motion.
And also stuff that it's kind of an inspiration for an idiot. Like if he's made it this far as that's not true. Gay, black, liberal. He was bulletproof. He was bulletproof.
Well,
that's how we got so far.
He still is.
Yeah, he still is. He's still got a job. If you said something like that, I would fire you in a second. But I can't. You don't work for me.
Lemon's political commentary. Let's call it emotional karaoke. He sings the same tired, off-key notes with enough fake passion to make you think he's actually making a point. But Gutfeld, he takes those same notes and shreds them into punchlines that land with the precision of a sniper. While Lemon serves up lukewarm cliches, Gutfeld delivers searing satire. It's no wonder Lemon's reputation evaporated faster than his relevance. He mistook outrage for insight and grandstanding for substance. Meanwhile, Gutfeld just held up a funhouse mirror, reflecting Lemon's ridiculousness in glorious high definition. And let's be real, Lemon didn't like the image staring back at him, stripped of his smug delivery. What was left? A guy holding a mic, with nothing to back him up except empty words. Gutfeld doesn't play the fake optimism game. He rolls up in his opinion clown car, honks the horn, and dumps a glitter bomb of sarcasm all over Lemon's tired, self-important act, where Lemon puffs himself up, pretending to drop moral wisdom from Mount Olympus. Gutfeld's out here roller skating through the argument, armed with a fire extinguisher of snark.
But that's only part of it. My favorite quote.
Talking about
message
crime
I'm
for
just
being
saying what
president.
the facts are. Google it.
Google it. It seems that's his answer for everything. So, Mr. Lemon, is there any reason why we should keep you here at CNN?
Google it.
Since then, he was conveniently off this morning, and CNN's chairman put him on blast on a call with colleagues today. For his part, Don tweeted that his comments were inartful. Inartful? They sure were, Rembrandt.
Now, let's discuss charisma. Gutfeld might be a snarky gremlin, but man, he's got charm. Lemon, on the other hand, exudes the warmth of a DMB printer. There's something deeply underwhelming about a guy who takes himself so seriously while contributing so little. He tries to project gravitas but ends up channeling the emotional energy of a dentist who's just mildly disappointed in you. Gutfeld doesn't just roast Lemon, he exposes the glitch in the system. He peels away the glossy surface of serious journalism to reveal a man working overtime to sound like he's making a point. But instead of clarity, all we get is moral performance, art and condescension. Lemon always seemed puzzled when people didn't applaud his every word, as if he confused speaking with convincing. Gutfeld, ever the chaos connoisseur, simply waltzes in and laughs. Because when someone's unintentionally funny, why not? It's like watching someone slip on their own banana peel in slow motion. Why step in when you can enjoy the show?
Do you imagine, I know this is such an easy question, but if a Republican mocked Joe Biden after Joe was nearly assassinated, say by a set of stairs?
Yeah. I mean, that person would lose their job, but oh wait, Don Lemon already lost his job.
Yes.
So, he would have lost it a second time.
Look, Don Lemon used to have, second to Gutfeld, the greatest comedy show on television. It was called Don Lemon Tonight. It was intended to be serious. One of my favorite things to do would be to grab a glass of wine and laugh at that man. He'd take these long dramatic pauses where you'd be like, are you okay? Is that man okay? Like, we need to do a wellness check. That's how crazy the show was.
Don Lemon's greatest flaw. It wasn't Gutfeld, it was that he never figured out how to be interesting without being insufferable. He cloaked himself in righteousness and mistook that for armor. Gutfeld, however, came in with a verbal can opener and proved otherwise. What we witnessed wasn't just a takedown, it was a televised eulogy for Lemon's relevance. Lemon stood there, armed with buzzwords and smirks, while Gutfeld brought receipts, wit, and sarcasm so sharp, it would have made publicists panic. It was like watching a philosophy professor try to debate a stand-up comic, but the comic was quicker, smarter, and far more entertaining. Even the way they carried themselves was a tell. Lemon acts like he's delivering news at a royal wedding. Gutfeld acts like he's about to sneak vodka into it. One is painfully earnest, the other, gleefully irreverent. One desperately wants to be liked. The other couldn't care less, and that drives Lemon absolutely nuts.
CNN's dimmest room is back on the tube. Yeah, Don Lemon gets an HR warning, then returns to help CNN have a bad one. Lady-hating numbskull Don Lemon is set to return to his low-rated morning show tomorrow after vacationing in Miami. That's him on the left. I'm over here. But he proves criminals always return to the scene of the crime.
And just when you think Lemon might finally land a solid point, Gutfeld's already 10 punts ahead, rewriting the rules and turning every interaction into a highlight reel of humiliation. The contrast is brutal. It's like showing up to a chess match with a coloring book. Don Lemon's problem wasn't just that he was wrong, it was that he was boring about it. In a media world that thrives on attention, that's the kiss of death. Gutfeld knew that the game isn't just about being right, it's about being memorable. And Lemon, well, he'll be remembered as the guy who lost a roast battle without even realizing he was in it. And let's be honest, Lemon getting roasted by Gutfeld, it's not just funny, it's poetic. It's karma doing stand-up. For every time Lemon condescended to his viewers with the warmth of a tax audit, Gutfeld delivered a comeback that left skid marks. For every empty lecture, there was a sharp jab that sliced through Lemon's pretension like a ginsu knife through tofu.
The divisive climate caused a palpable subversion of law enforcement, leading to reductions in police interaction in communities that needed their help most. The results, a massive spike in shootings and murder, the death of innocent minorities in cities left to rot by the left, who took their cues from CNN. But I guess that's just an opinion, right? But it's an opinion arising from truth.
This wasn't just another media moment, it was a reckoning. The artificial elite were called out by a man who only wears suits when someone bribes him. Lemon came dressed for a seminar. Gutfeld came for a roast, and roast he did. Lemon's entire on-air persona got deep-fried in sarcasm and served with a side of maybe next time. Don't take yourself so seriously. Now, Lemon's name will live on not as the voice of reason he thought he was, but as the punchline in a Gutfeld monologue, the cautionary tale of what happens when smug meets smartass and loses spectacularly. So here lies the legacy. One man thought he was the voice of a generation. The other just made the generation laugh at him. One delivered monologues like they were sermons. The other made them sound like comedy bits, somehow saying more in the process. In the end, Don Lemon got exactly what he never saw coming: honesty wrapped in humor. Served cold by Greg Gutfeld, who doesn't just roast people, he slow cooks them until they fall off the credibility bone. Bon AP Petty.